Hello, everybody. This is our monthly community call for the Wellness Enterprise, the Cosmic Tower. I am not your normal host. My name is James. I'm Patrick's son, and I'm going to be joined by Nico today, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of my experiences with the Cosmic Tower, our past road trip this past fall, how we went all along the West Coast, and any other questions that you guys have, we'll get to at the end as well. But just want to say welcome to everybody for joining today, and super excited to see you all.
Yeah, let's give everybody a minute to join. Thank you, James. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. It's a little early here. It's 3 in the morning.
Oh, are you in Egypt?
No, I'm in Thailand right now.
Oh,
The winter. Yeah, it's like 3 in the morning. It's all good.
that's the time of the day.
It is. Yeah, welcome everybody and thank you for joining. And yeah, please put your questions in the chat or put your hand up if you have any questions. If not, I asked James to get on because, I think James pretty new to the whole energy journey. And yeah, he had quite a bit of experiences, I could say. Since when was the first time, James?
It
That
was
when you
almost
were like,
like,
I can't feel my tower. I don't even remember when that was.
yeah, maybe last spring or
Sometime.
something.
Yeah, last spring. And James was like, yeah, I can't really feel my tower. And what do I do about that? I was like, have you tried? No, I've not. I've not really tried. So I was like, well, so let's do that. So I don't know, James, for you, this whole energy thing was like, I'm not gonna say all woo-woo in the beginning, but it was new to you, right?
Yeah, definitely new. I would say at the beginning, it was just something I had in the house. Because we sell them and because I talk about them a lot, it was something that I felt I had to have in the house to try, but I didn't really try connecting with it or talking to it or doing all the things I probably should have been doing from the beginning. Yeah, and then eventually one day we can just start getting into it as people roll in. But one day
Yeah.
Nico and I were in Zoom with Patrick, and Patrick was like, "Hey Nico, like James isn't really feeling his tower. Like, do you think you could just like talk to him for a few minutes? I'll just like go in the kitchen or something. I won't be here, and just see what happens." And I was like, "Okay, like sure." And Nico was like, "All right, where's your tower?" I sat down next to it on my couch. It's in my living room. And he's like, "Okay, well, like when you got it, have you been doing anything with it?" I was like, "No, not really. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?" He was like, "Well, first, let's just start by saying that if you told any of this to me when I was 23, I would tell you to get out of here. Like, no way. So just sit on the couch and have an open mind and just see what happens and feel what you feel." And I was like, "Okay, like I'll just listen to you." So I sat on the couch and he was like, "All right, like, can you touch the tower? Like, can you physically put your hand on it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, like one finger on it. And he was like, "All right, now put your other hand on your heart." So I'm sitting on the couch listening to Nico like this, with my finger on my tower, my hand on my heart, and he's asking me all these questions. And I was like, huh, this is different than I thought it was. His first question was like, "Well, did you welcome it into your home when it came?" And I was like, "No." Was I supposed to do that? He was like, "Well, just like you can welcome it now." It's like, "Okay, welcome." And then he was like, "Okay, well, like, do you ever like talk to it or ask it things?" And I was like, "No." Like, what am I supposed to talk to it about or ask it? And he was like, "I don't know, like just test it, like just play with it." I was like, "Okay, like how can we test it?" He's like, "Well, do you have any plants?" I was like, "Yeah, I got plants." Like, well, see if you can ask it to take better care of your plants because me and my roommate were pretty bad with our plants. I like to say that my roommate treats plants like a monthly subscription. He just buys them every month and then kills them and then buys a new one at next month. So we weren't doing so well with our plants. And so I asked the tower to help with that. And I will say our plants didn't die as quickly as they normally did until I went to Mexico like a month or two after this. And I was there for a month. And when I was in Mexico, I was like, yeah, there's no way these plants are going to be alive when I get back. There's no chance. My roommate's been watering them, especially this plant I had on my desk in my room. And to my surprise, I actually got home and the plant was still alive and it hadn't been watered once. So yeah, no,
Hello.
I was like, wow, okay,
Hey,
that
Boo.
could only be a cosmic tower because I'm not sure how a plant that hadn't been watered in a month could have survived in my room, but it did. So just like little things like that started happening after this initial talk I had with Nico. And actually in that talk I remember after I went back to my desk after Nico was asking me all these questions and we were talking about my tower. And I'm sitting back at my desk and Patrick and Nico are going back and forth and I'm like chiming in a little bit, but I'm really just sinking back into my chair. Like, what the heck is happening to me? Kind of freaking out because my heart and my chest were just getting so warm and on fire. I was like, I don't, oh, I just connected to my cosmic tower for the first time. Like, I feel it in my chest, something that I've never felt before. And I didn't really have words to describe it, so I just started like sinking into my chair. And like 10 minutes after Patrick and Nico are going back and forth and I'm sinking in my chair, Patrick finally is like, "Hey, like how'd it go, James? Like, did you connect with your tower?" I was like, "Yeah, I think so." I'm kind of freaking out right now. So that was my first experience connecting with the tower. It was pretty fun.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. I think, can you make me host too, James, if I have to mute people
Uh,
and
yeah,
thank you.
here you go.
So yeah, great. Thank you. Might have to mute some people. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, well, thank you everybody for joining. I mean, we just kind of started. James shared an experience, and just Happy New Year to everyone, and for those that just joined. So feel free to put your questions in, and we'll be answering some questions that were sent in. We don't have that many questions, but if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to ask them. And here, Karen, can you unmute Karen, James?
Um,
Uh, here, I just,
Did you want me
hi,
muted or
Karen.
unmuted?
there you go.
You're
Okay.
unmuted.
Okay. Thank you. I had a question because I brought my 35 down to my daughters in DC, introducing it to their house. I'll just show you. You can see it on the living room table in front of the
Oh, you're
TV.
in DC now. Yeah,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
okay.
see it.
I was like, that
So I was just
doesn't look like
wondering.
your house.
So, yeah, lots of clutter, a different color. Um, So I was just wondering, I'm just leaving it here for a week. I'm hoping that they will welcome it and want to keep it. But how do I just do this kind of introduction to, just for a 1 week trial while I'm here?
Yeah, that all depends on the person, right?
Okay.
Everybody,
But could I
and you
do
know,
something similar to what you did with James? Is one hand on the thing and one hand on your heart, just welcome into the space?
yeah, that's one way. And quite honestly, it was like typical Patrick. He just put me on the spot there in the call, like, "Hey, can you help James?" And I'm gonna like go get out of the way now, you know. So I didn't have a set way to go through that. It was just kind of what I felt in the moment.
Okay.
And yeah, that's my best advice. If you can just go with the flow in the moment, because everybody's at you know
Okay.
everybody's at, I'm not a different level is what I'm gonna say, but a different
Mhm.
level of openness, right,
Okay.
to what it is. And it's also not like, because a lot of people are so hung up, they're so focused on, I have to feel something,
Yes, they're scientists.
right?
So,
And
yeah.
that's actually what gets in the way.
Oh,
Uh, Right? People want to feel something because they're so focused on like I have to feel something, and maybe they have something in their head about it needs to be this way or that way. And when it comes down to like feeling something, at least for me, like the least in your head that you are about it, the easier it is. Right, but it's kind of how should I say? People people so used to having to do something or having to achieve something, and then probably the biggest thing that gets in the way, am I doing this right? Right? I don't
right.
feel anything. What is wrong with me? Why am I not feeling anything? I don't know what people are expecting. Right. So it gets in the way. Well, even with James, I don't even realize exactly what all we went through, but it's more a matter of relaxing and 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 can can you pick up on like subtle things that you're feeling, and the head gets in the way of that
Yep.
to just allow you to relax and notice what shows up.
Okay.
And also, like the other thing is like I don't remember with your daughter, Karen, how open she is to
No, they're
it.
scientists. They are not open.
Yes,
But
I
they're
thought
willing for
so.
me to leave it for a week to see how it changes their
Yeah.
environment, their health, everything else. So,
Hmm.
but I really love that what James shared is I would really like them to also do like a little connection to the unit if they're open, but we'll see.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. If they're open to it, right? It's not something we can force
Hmm.
or uh yeah, like feeling it, it's like the opposite of like doing it
Right. Yeah.
and forcing yourself to feel
Hmm.
it. And so, I mean, quite honestly, I would just tell people if they're not that open to it, what do they notice
Mm.
in in
Yep.
in their life with their sleep,
Hmm.
and just take it from there
Yep.
versus making them think, aren't you feeling anything? Are you feeling this? Like, can you put your attention in your pinky? Like, are you feeling any
Right.
sensations? Um, yeah, I don't know with James because James, you're for you it was new, right?
Yeah, completely new.
The feeling energy and just allowing yourself to have that experience. So yeah, I don't know if you have any suggestions because you're much closer to like where a lot of people are that say I can't feel anything and what do I have to do to feel it, right?
Yeah, I would just say the biggest thing I do is I just have an open mind about anything. So you could tell me something that's completely not true, and I would still hear you out, even if I didn't know if it was true or not. Just like listening with open ears to hear anything that's said. And I think that that really helped for me.
Yeah, scientists are not as open-minded as you, James, but thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nico. And Nico, I have a second question for you is that my multiple chemical sensitivities are really activated because my old car broke down, so I had to drive to DC with my brand new car. Very lucky that I have a new car, but I'm allergic to new car interiors, and I totally forgot because I gotten so well with all these things that I've been doing for my body. So, is there anything the tower can be a contribution for me? I drove down with it in my back seat, so I'm sure that helped. But is there anything else I can do now or with the tower to contribute to my healing?
Yeah, well, how's it gone for you so well? I mean,
I
so far.
survived.
Hmm.
I had to drive with the windows down, a crack. And the minute I closed the windows, I couldn't breathe. My head just was hurting. So and then at nighttime, I also brought it into the hotel with me on the way down so that it was with me. Um, but is there anything else I can ask it to contribute or ask for help or I don't know, communicate with it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can just state your intention
Okay.
and what it is you want, and
Okay.
that typically does it, and that's a little different for everybody, right? So for some people, it's speaking out loud. For some people, it's holding it in their awareness,
Mhm.
right?
I do have to say that having it here in the apartment, I just landed here like an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Um, and already we're having these deep conversations and laughing together. And we usually have a hard time, reconnecting. And it's like
hmm
it's already like we're just laughing and it's been delightful. So thank you. Uh, that unit is already contributing, I think. So, anyways, okay. I will
Yeah,
ask for help. Thank you.
hmm yeah, you can, and intention's so important, right? And you just set your intention and what you want, and then you also have to let it go.
Hmm. Yep.
Right? And then just see what appears and just notice what what's different
Mm,
from usually.
yep. Okay.
Right? Mhm,
Yep. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, James.
Yeah, you're welcome.
mhm. Thank you. So we have a question from Debbie about her tower. So she's had her since 75 since November. So she says, I've been on this awareness consciousness pattern between brackets, whatever that is, for a number of years and feel energy running through my body. I'm a neurofeedback practitioner, meditate and analyze my dreams and try to pay attention. And I welcome my tower. I gave her a name and chat every now and then, but the energy in my home with family has been strained for quite a few years. I guess I'm just wondering if you can ask the tower to harmonize the environment in the home, or do you have any suggestions? As I don't believe I'm experiencing a shift at the home. Do the other individuals have to want to change? So yeah, that's a great question, because we all we don't have expectations, but we have the best intentions for people. But people are always where they are at. Right. So to want something for different, for different people, that's a little challenging because we have to honor where they are in their journey, and we can set our intention. But ultimately, it really depends. It really depends on the person, right? Whether they're ready for it. And I know early on in my awakening, it was like, okay, I want everybody else to be able to perceive this. I want everybody else to feel this. And the funny thing is, the more we get attached for people to want a certain thing, the more we stand in the way of it, right? And I don't know, James, if you want to comment on that, but I know when your dad, as he's pretty good, and I say that as a joke, pretty much put me on the spot
Hmm.
when we were in the call. He's like, "Well, I'm James's dad, so I'm just gonna walk out of the room now, like, help James feel his tower." I'm like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
I don't.
I would say he completely removed himself from getting in the way of that one, right?
hmm
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is to not have any expectations. And I know how it can be because we all want the best for people, but at the same time, what's good for one person, it's not what another person needs, right? So just I would just say set your intention, but then like don't get attached to the outcome. Because I also told Patrick, when he kind of put me on the spot with James, like later on, like we just had to let the whole thing go, right? And you just set your intention and want the best for people, and then just let them have their own experience.
Nico,
Uh,
this is Debbie. Can you hear me?
yeah,
Oh,
yes.
okay. I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada, by the way. I just, I think, yes, I get the expectation piece. And as I work on that, it still comes up. But I was wondering how to evaluate, I think, the cosmic tower. And I think perhaps
Hmm.
that was my, because I'm a crazy dreamer and more so probably since the tower's there, but just kind of how to evaluate that to determine if it's right for the house. And so that was kind of what I was looking at, is looking to them to see the shift, because we always want them to shift and not us. That's human,
Yes.
right? You change, not me. So yeah, that was kind of what I was looking at, was yeah, and then perhaps I'm not giving it a hug as often as I should as well. Yeah.
Well, you just spoke about your dreams,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's even more than before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the subtle changes, right? And pay attention to it. And um, it's different for everybody. Some people, they feel it right away, right? They're pretty energy sensitive, and for other people, uh, they notice it more in their external environment, the people around them, and noticing them shift. And for some people, it just takes a while, and then when they go back retroactively, they're like, oh, I noticed ever since I had the tower, this shifted or that shifted, but it takes a little while, right? So I'd say there's no individual checklist for people, but just pay attention and just notice what shifts for you, and then the people around you are not always your best way to evaluate that either. So trust what you're feeling, right? Trust what by just paying attention uh to your life and the changes and even the people around you. Or one of the things that I really noticed was the synchronicities. That was something that really changed for me. Just like I wouldn't say I didn't have any synchronicities before, but ever since the tower, it was just like boom, 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 like all these. I'm not going to say crazy things started happening, but all of these like, oh, you have one of these things happening, you can be like, yeah, that's a coincidence, but then it's like three in a row like that, and I remember that with James when we were on the road trip, because I was kind of joking with him. I was like, "Hey James, we're going on this road trip together. Just know that some crazy things might happen." And that I already knew it back then. I was like, "You're not going to be the same person when you come back from this road trip." And I think I even told you that. Uh, and then I just let it go. And then we were on the road trip, and then just, crazy things started to happen, right, James?
Yeah. Yeah, there was plenty of synchronicities on our road trip.
I could ask just one more question, and then then I'll, when it was delivered, it was kind of handed, it wasn't upright. And because I don't fully understand the toroidal towards the field, would it have shifted? Um, like, should it have stayed in a position, or is it just, is the field always moving, the magnetic
Yeah,
field?
it's always moving, and
That's
that
all.
doesn't
Okay.
matter. Yeah,
Okay.
because else if yeah, we couldn't be sending those towers out if we had to
Okay.
ensure that they were
Yeah.
always sitting right.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so yeah, you're welcome. So Wendy's got a press question. If you do not actually instruct the tower, will then be working on what is most needed for myself in the immediate environment? She has a 75 and a Mini. Yeah, that's correct. And it's not like you have to instruct it. It's not like you have to tell it what all to do or it's not going to do it. Right. So the tower will do its thing, but also it's a consciousness. And um as you probably most of you know, the more you set your intention with your consciousness, the more powerful that you notice things, and just the more powerful we are in general. Right. If we set a good intention, so it's not like if you don't tell it what to do, then it's not gonna do it, and it's not gonna do anything. But it's like in general with consciousness, the more we set our intention or put our consciousness together, even with another person, the more powerful it is, right? Let's see. Oh, Roxanne, you raise your hand. Let me see if I can help you to unmute. Can you mute yourself? There you
Yeah.
go.
Hi, Nico. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Roxanne.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
really good to see you. I wanted to tell you first, I just need to pop in because I've got a ceremony at 4 o'clock, so I'll need to prepare for that in a little bit. But it's really good to see you, and I'm glad there's a replay. And then I do have a question. But before that, I just want to I got my tower last summer solstice, and synchronicities are happening. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, really incredible. And to share with everyone, sometimes like what I came in late, but you were talking about let go of expectations.
Mhm.
So New Year's Day, yeah. In the evening, New Year's night, I was driving to a ceremony at church, and 5 minutes before I got there, I got a flatter than flat tire, the flattest I've ever had in my life. And long story short is I had the most incredible experience with the people that helped repair it all around. I mean, the kindest people that would restore faith in humanity for anybody. And then I went into the dealership to get the new tire. And on the second, right before I took a little trip, and I walked into the showroom, and there was the car that I had been imagining for this car that I have had never fit me. So I ended up with a new car for my short little trip, unbeknownst to me that I would get a car, and I just love it. Ergonomically, it's all around great. Aesthetically, too. So that's the latest synchronicity. And it took a little while, and then it was, just don't waste any energy getting all riled up about a flat tire. Something really good is going to come of this. I missed the ceremony, but I guess I didn't need to be there, you know? Something else opened up. So my question is about water.
Mhm.
I know that you said before that the cosmic tower will harmonize and clear the water. How long do I need to keep the water out once I run it out of the tap? Keep it out in the open once it's.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. And I've done some measurements on that. So with tap water when I was in Houston, and before there was a tower in the house, and then I would measure the water and its effect on the life force. And I
Yes.
would notice, I mean, in Houston, that the water would take your life force away, or that wouldn't uplift you. And I noticed that when I brought the tower in and did the measurements again, that immediately it was shifted to where it was no longer detrimental. When you would if you were to drink the water straight from the faucet. And but then I also noticed that if I would put it in a container
Hmm.
and I would let the container sit out, and if I would measure it again, that the water would be even stronger, would be even more beneficial. After a few minutes went by, and I did those measurements. I forget, I have to look in my notes, but for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I would notice the life force um, just going up. And that was also based on our friend Tio, who said that he he noticed an effect like that before I'd actually measured it, and then he said when it sat out that actually the life force kept going up until maybe after 15 or 20 minutes it reached its
Yeah.
maximum, its maximum of value and life force. But one thing so the short answer is like, even when it comes out of the faucet, right, from what I've noticed, from what I've measured in most places, it's no longer detrimental, right? But then if you let it sit out for 10, 15 minutes, it would even get.
Yeah.
But then one thing I noticed was that if you look at the water when it's there and you connect with your tower, even
Hmm.
thinking about your tower or looking at it, then that process went a lot faster.
Okay. Okay.
Which in the beginning I was like, huh, that's interesting. But then I learned in biogeometry that when we create resonance, so if you're looking
Mhm.
at the water and then you're actually connecting to your tower, that is pretty much immediate, because that's our own consciousness, right? And we
Yeah.
make that connection, and it just makes the process go a lot quicker. So that's what I do now,
Wonderful.
which is just uh, when I get to water, just think about your tower or connect with it. And then I'm not going to say you're the bridge in a way, but it's when your consciousness is involved, things just all of a sudden speed
Mhm.
up. So it's something you can do, but know that when it comes out of the faucet, like, yeah, you
Okay.
it's already shifted.
So
It
the
has
chlorine
already
also,
changed.
the
Yeah.
chlorine will be pure, it'll be purified from the chlorine and fluoride. Oh,
Yeah, but remember that when we deal with things that are from an energetic nature, right? That doesn't mean you're immediately not going to smell any chlorine anymore,
mhm.
right? But it's been deactivated because it works on an energetic level, right? And some people notice it, like the smell of the water or even the texture of it
Uh-huh.
changes,
Uh-huh.
and it's a little different for everybody, right? But yeah, from my experience, it's pretty quickly.
Thank you very much. Okay. That's wonderful to hear.
You're
Great.
welcome. Hey Zane, you want to ask your question?
Yes. A friend of mine from Florida received, I think it was a used CT, one that had been returned. And she would, invoke assistance for her marriage. And every time she did it, all hell broke loose. The whole, she, most recently, she felt like killing her husband. And, normally things are pretty much okay in the home front. I mean, they've been married for many years. But it freaked her out as she tried and tried. Every time she did it, it would things would go crazy on the household, and so
Mhm.
she had to put it away. I told her just lay it down; it'll shut it off. And so, I just wanted your feedback on that. What I should tell her.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, that's one of those situations like sometimes things have to come to the surface
No.
and they have to be recognized. And how should I say that? Let's just say if and I cannot speak for this person, obviously, right? But maybe the marriage is not so harmonious, or it could be better. It's not like the cosmic tower is like gonna fix it for you. It's not like, marriage counselor in a box. It's not like you bring it in and now all of a sudden all the problems that were there before are just magically gonna go away,
Okay.
right? It's not like that, but um I mean, sometimes things get worse. I mean, a lot of you know this. Like, if you take homeopathics and you go to a homeopathic doctor and they're going to prescribe you a remedy, I don't know, but a lot of you, my mother went to study homeopathy when she was in her late 40s. And I know my dad always used to bitch in the beginnings, like, you're giving me these things and it's just getting worse. And my mother would always be like, well, that's a good sign. That means that things are coming to the surface and things are coming up for resolution. But he sure hated it. And I think they called it a Herxheimer reaction that sometimes, things just get worse. And I remember my mother would be getting real excited because my dad would get really pissed off and she would give him whatever he need. And she's like, ooh, your dad's really pissed right now. Like, that's good. He's gonna have a good reaction afterwards. Right? So I think, yeah, sometimes things just have to come to the surface and they have to be spoken, and that's a part of it, or we got to get really clear on what's bothering us, right? But also when I talk to people and people are like, well, I had these experiences, or in the beginning, the first week I felt great, I had all this energy, and then the second week, now all these things are coming to the surface that I don't like. I was like, that is great, right? Because that means it's coming up. That is coming up for resolution, right? And it's coming to the surface. So, and you know this, Zane, as well as any of us. Like when you embark on any healing journey, it's not about, I'm gonna go have this healing done, on focus on this healing practice, so I don't have to like deal with it, right? You notice that oftentimes it's yeah, it gets more challenging in the beginning, or things come to the surface that need to be looked at, right? So I don't know all the details with your friend either, but it sure sounds that like things are coming to the surface for her,
Yeah, that's for sure.
right? So it's not like it's like, hey, we got the tower and now things are great. Now I don't have to look at this. Sometimes it's even more that's even more in your face, right? And you have to look at it, right?
Yeah, when um, when she brought it in and set it up, her husband had a strong reaction to it, and so there's not that harmony between an agreement about this technology. Um, I just wanted to say, if I were to purchase this from her, should I be concerned about the energies, the energetics of it? Whether was there a chance it was altered somehow before she received it? Anything like that?
No, you
Yeah,
shouldn't, but if you have any doubts, we can always look at it and make sure that it's
I see.
working, 100%. So feel free, and we can always check it out ourselves, or we can ask the guys in Germany. Typically not, but if it is with another person, what's a good example for this? It adjusts to the person and what that person needs. And then if it goes to another person, that might be different. I guess it's kind of like if you adopt a pet that had a previous owner, right? It's not like the pet might have certain habits or be focused on certain things when it comes to their owner, and it goes to a new owner, and that's not really appropriate anymore. So it's kind of like you have a dog trainer and you be like, hey, you know here's your new owner. Let the owner tell you what they want. So yeah, we can always clear that if it's needed. So yeah, feel free, if there's any doubts about it, right? But yeah, also in general, I mean, I don't know the whole history, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, there's probably already a reason, right, why they wanted help in their relationship or with the harmony in the home. Let me put it that way. Right. So there are some patterns maybe that were already there before that were challenging, and now they're really being brought to like the foreground, and maybe your friend, typically wouldn't speak up about it, but now she even feels more that she should speak about it and
Hmm.
bring things out in the open. And
Yes.
believe it or not, but for a lot of people, that's a big part of the healing,
Yes. Yes.
right? To actually put it out there. But yeah, you can always send us a message, uh, Zane. We'd be happy to look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah. For
Um,
your friend too, she sent us an
Mhm.
email yesterday, so Nico and I will take a look at
Oh,
that
okay.
later.
oh, okay. Great. Thank you. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I appreciate. I got to go pretty soon, but thank you so much for answering my question.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Let's see. Margaret has a question. Hi, is the CT Mini strong enough to structure improve water if you are away from your larger tower? Yeah, absolutely. You can actually go on our website and you will see pictures with tap water, and some of them are done with a Mini. So you can see a change after a few minutes. Um, yeah, even if you are away from your larger tower. Um, but you just have to remember that the Mini doesn't have that big of a range. So if you have your water close enough to it, it will structure it, and it can do it by itself. And yeah, it doesn't need a larger tower. Sometimes that's a misconception, where people think that you need the bigger tower for the Mini to work. No, the Mini just works by itself. And yes, it does structure your water. Um,
Looks like Marcia has a question.
oh, she had her hand up. Hi, Marcia.
Marcia, you're muted. You have to
Oh, you
unmute
muted.
first.
Okay. Hi, Nico. Hi, Jay.
Hello.
Okay, just curious, does your big tower have to be with the water? Because mine is always in my bedroom.
Uh, you have a 35, right? If I
Some
remember correctly. Oh, 75?
It's a
No, it
75.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have to be with it, right? So, 75 is plenty to cover your home and quite a bit beyond. So anywhere within that field, it'll do it. And from my experience, if you connect with your tower when you're connecting with the water, right, it just makes things go quicker. But yeah, people will always ask, do I have to have it in the kitchen if that's where my water is? Or like, no, if it's in your home, uh, that's fine. And as long as the water's within the range of your tower, you're good.
And I don't always connect with it, but I do know if I move it from another room and I'm in my bedroom and I try to go to bed, I miss it.
Mm-hmm.
So I may not always connect with it, but I am aware when it's not with me,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Yeah. And
Thank
even though when you're still in the field, right? But then it's like anything else with our consciousness. Once we tune in or once we connect with something, we can, we can feel it more,
you.
right? It was the same with James when he couldn't feel his tower. It's like, do you try to connect with it? It's like, no. Um, so we have some comments here. I think we have some questions in the sheet, uh, James.
Yeah, let me take a look
Maybe
for you.
yeah.
So yeah, we have two questions we got emailed in yesterday. If anyone else wants to ask a question, think about your question while Nico answers this next one. But the question we got emailed in said, I'm considering purchasing a cosmic tower. I currently turn off my Wi-Fi each night to reduce my exposure. If I had a cosmic tower, is turning off Wi-Fi no longer necessary, or would it still be a good practice to continue to turn off Wi-Fi?
I still think it's like a good practice, right? And it's is it needed or this that and the other? Like I think in general, like because people will ask me the same question, like now that I have a tower in my house in the city, do I still have to go into nature? Right? And I think like for me it's like yeah, if you can avoid it and you can turn it off, right? It's always better than even having to harmonize it. Right? So if it's easy for you, yeah, like do that. I mean the cosmic towers are here to mitigate the issues and to harmonize those fields, but I would still say personally, if that's a habit and you turn off the Wi-Fi, just like keep doing it. And if you like to go out in nature a lot, keep doing it. Keep connecting with nature, right? And also it's not just about because we always think of terms of like avoiding avoiding things. So like even with nature. It's, there's a lot of benefit to just be in nature beyond of like EMF and everything else. We are nature, right? And connecting with it. So I would say keep doing the good things that you are doing and, minimize all the rest. But technically, yeah, you shouldn't. But for me, it's always like if you can like avoid it, why not? Right? So that would be my advice.
Yeah, good answer. I agree with that. All right, last question, unless anyone else comes up with one while Nico's answering this next one. If you have a question, just raise your hand or put it in the chat and we'll get to it after this one. I've heard having a cosmic tower is very healthy for humans, animals, and plants. How are mold mycotoxins affected by the cosmic tower? If a building already has a problem with mold growing, would it promote more mold growth?
I mean, look at the cosmic tower as bringing things back into balance, right? So in nature, not everything is growth. There's also processes of decay. but it's a matter of like, is it within a natural balance? Right. So, and we get the mold question quite a bit, and there's quite a lot of different factors you have to take into account with mold and like the environment. So it's not like the cosmic tower is gonna like promote all growth of like any organism, right? So it's not like your mold is going to explode, but it's gonna do its best to bring things back to a natural balance. But then I think, especially with things like mold, you also have to look at the environment, right? And at the physical level, is there like a problem with water or any other issues? Um, so I wouldn't worry that it's gonna amplify the growth of the mold or make it worse. If anything, it's gonna help to balance the environments, but that doesn't mean either that let's say you have a water issue where there's leaks in the house and there's water coming in and it's sitting there, and you live in a humid environment and you're now gonna put a tower in and just magically all the mold is going to go away or it's going to be resolved. No, like the issues still need to be addressed, right? But and I think that the tower will help to bring the balance and bring things back to a more harmonized state and a more natural balance. But things things still need to be addressed, right? All right, let's see who else we got. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand. All right, anything you want to add, James? We'll put you on the spot.
Um, no, I think it was good. If people want, we can kind of talk a little bit about some synchronicities that we saw with the road trip, or give some people some time to think of questions if there's any last questions. But some of those synchronicities from the road trip were pretty fun, especially the bigger ones. So those are those are good stories.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you
Okay.
share?
Um, so there was two synchronicities from the road trip that happened like directly to me that were pretty mind-blowing. Nico had his own that happened to him, starting right off from the license plate on a rental car. It was the county on the license plate that we got was from Kentucky, and it was actually the first county that Nico lived in 20 years ago in the US. So that was just like a random coincidence, right? But all these little things keep happening. So I think now we can call them synchronicities instead. But the first big one that happened to me is we had our road trip starting in Boulder, and I do all the shipping logistics for the Cosmic Towers, and so I had to look at timing inventory for our road trip so that we had enough for each stop and we could show them at the events and people could feel the towers. And so our first few stops were through Boulder and New Mexico and then Arizona. And by the time we were done in Arizona, we'd done about 6 or 7 stops and we were all out of Cosmic Towers. So we had to ship some more to our next stop in San Diego. And so it was Monday of the week that we were going to San Diego. We were going to get to San Diego on Thursday. I shipped a bunch of towers on the Monday to make sure that they would get there when we were getting there so we would have some for our event. And we put a lot of faith in the FedEx shipping company because we sold all the rest of the towers. We didn't keep one of each or anything like that. We put our faith in FedEx that they were going to be there when we got there. And so Nico and Theo and I were driving back to San Diego on Thursday morning with an event in San Diego that night. And we had about a 6 hour car drive that day from Phoenix area. And Nico were driving. He's like, "Hey, like, did the towers get delivered yet?" I was like, "No, but like, I'm sure they will. Like, it says they will." He was like, "Okay, like, I'm sure it'll work out." So we keep driving, and we pull into Theo's house where we were staying for 2 nights or so, and the towers weren't at the front door when we got there, but we got out of the car and we gave a big stretch. 6 hour drive, and right as I'm done stretching, 10 seconds after we pull into the driveway, we hear beep, 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 and the FedEx truck was backing into the driveway. It literally got there the same time we did, and we were like, what the heck? So the timing on that was pretty insane. It was pretty funny. We had a good laugh about that one. And then the other synchronicity that happened to be on this trip was that one of our hosts had a death in the family before we had gotten there a few weeks prior, and it was one of their nephews that had an accident, and they were dropped off at a hospital, but it turns out they were already passed away by the time they were dropped off. And we had known about that going into the event, just a little bit prior, and we're going to be cognizant of that. But we talked about it a little bit with the host when we got there, and I actually found out while we were there that the hospital that her nephew was dropped off at was actually the hospital I was born in. And I was like, whoa, what the? I was like, whoa, I think we're supposed to be here. Like, that's too crazy of a coincidence. Like, there's thousands of hospitals across the US, and it just so happens that I was born at the same one that this nephew of hers was dropped off at. So those were the two biggest from the trip that I personally felt. But there was a bunch
Mhm.
of other smaller ones too.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Uh, and I wish I'd written them all down because I
Yeah.
warned James before the trip. I was just like, hey, I hope you're ready because the same person's not going to be returning from this trip, not the
Yeah.
same one that came.
Yeah. Made
And
some
I
changes.
just knew that. I mean, I just knew it. I didn't know. I mean, we're in the car, and I know a lot of us, we're so focused on what am I going to teach people? What am I going to do? Well, let me just tell you, just it's much more about your vibration and what's your state of energy, what's your state of vibration that you're in. Because I just knew it with James. I don't know how I know these things, but it was just like, I was like, uh-oh, he's never going to be the same. And then for me, it's just kind of funny because I already have that feeling, but then just still letting just James go through this, like, you know, he'd be sitting in the car, and every minute, I mean, not every minute, but every once in a while, I could see another coin drop. Like, ooh, I never got that before. I never understood that. And I think what I'm getting at is like, in the beginning, when I woke up, it was like, hey, I know all this stuff now, and I can see this and that. You have to like know about this. You have to wake up, right? Well, now let's say I'm more calm about it to where I know it's just all we can do is plant the seeds. It's what's the vibration that we can hold and just hold that and have no expectations about it and know what needs to happen for the person is what's going to need to happen. But it's going to be on everybody's timeline in a way and when when they're ready, right? It's like when you're a farmer or you're a gardener, you can plant the seeds and you can make the environment as as good as possible for the seed to have maximum potential to grow, but you don't get to decide when it's gonna grow, right? That all depends. So never forget that. Just focus on creating an environment where that can happen. But know that's ultimately it's not up to us. And it's an internal process. And with James, I felt it because I know a lot of he hasn't talked about it, but I know a lot of different things happened for him after that and after that road trip, and I just felt it. On the road trip, I knew it, but I didn't know. Is it going to be like a day, a week, a year? Right? We just have to kind of let that go.
Yeah, to close the loop on kind of where I'm at now versus less than a year ago when I didn't feel my tower once. Um, just the other day, I'm currently moving and I had to ship my towers to Patrick on Maui. And remember, less than a year ago, I didn't feel the towers at all. When I picked up the towers to bring them to the post office, I felt like I was touching an electric fence. My fingers just lit up. I was like, whoa, this is way different because I hadn't picked them up in a while, but just touching them now was like not a shock, but like literally like a cattle fence that had electricity going through it. I just like felt them in my fingertips. It's like, oh boy, this is changing a lot. It's becoming a lot more sensitive.
It's beautiful. Brings me joy. We have a few questions, James. Can you answer about the shipping? I don't know if you still have
Yes,
this.
we have. So, Wendy, for Canada, the 220s, we have two 220s in the Toronto area. Those are still the only two for Canada, but we do have one in northern Washington in the Seattle area that covers a bit of Canada as well from Dr. Klinghardt. But yeah, we'd love to get more 220s into Canada and support that network. That's something you're interested in.
There was actually a question before that, James, about the shipping. That's why
Oh
I asked
yeah,
you.
let me get to that one. Upper Midwest. Stella, where are you specifically? Kind of depends on weather. With freezing temperatures, we try to find little warm weather pockets when possible this time of year. So it really depends where you are. But if there's a day above freezing, I will ship towers with 1 day shipping speed so that they get there in that day that is above freezing. And then for your question about the Midwest, I think Stella just dropped out. She's joining back in right now. Hang on. Hey, Stella, I was just answering your question. Did you hear my answer about the shipping part? I don't know if she's there. Well, this next part is for everybody. We are looking and planning for our next road trips for this next upcoming summer, 2026. And so, if you guys have any interest or friends that you know would be interested or anything like that, please send us an email. We're just in the planning stages right now. So, where we have the most interest, we'll kind of build around. So, for a Midwest tour, we need some hosts and some venues and some people that we know are going to be coming to those events, and then absolutely be happy to build that tour. We go where the people and the interest go, basically. And for Wisconsin shipping, it's probably pretty cold there right now, but I'd have to take a look. All right, Stella, I'm going to put our email in the chat for you. Why don't you send us an email and we can talk a little bit more about that.
All right. Anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? I'm about ready to go to bed. It's 4 in the morning.
Yeah, and it's 4 in the morning for Nico. Thank you, Nico, for waking up nice and early for us. And thank you guys all for coming. And it's nice to see your faces. I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.